Hi, my name is Jan de Leijn, co-founder of Publican, a software company within the KPD group. In this short demo, I will show you how the AI tender assistant of Publican can help you analyze tender documents faster and better. From the required documents and other formalities to risks, inconsistencies, and even opportunities. Let's take a look.
What we're seeing here is the homepage of the Publican AI Tender Assistant. It is a cloud-based application, so nothing has to be installed at your end. We're seeing here a list of files, dossiers that I have uploaded with the purpose of getting some kind of assistance from our AI Tender Assistant. And what we're going to do right now is to showcase 3 examples of added value that the Publican AI Tender Assistant can bring to your organization. First of all, I will illustrate how the AI Tender Assistant can detect hidden requirements in tender documents. Second, I will demonstrate how the Publican AI Tender Assistant very swiftly and accurately can generate a risk and opportunity report based on tender documents that have been uploaded. Third, above the automatic analysis that the AI tender assistant performs, it is also possible to go into dialogue with your own tender documents as a way to gain information much quicker than based on the way you're working right now. And for these 3 examples, I will use real-life dossiers in which clients of ours have participated and have gained substantial benefits from using our tool. So the first example of added value has to do with detection of hidden requirements in tender documents. And to illustrate this, I'll rely myself on a project, a Belgian project for the Watergroep, which is a Belgian governmental body that is responsible for wastewater management. And one of our clients, a very big contractor, wanted to compete in this tender, a tender that has to do with repairs of leaks. And you're seeing right now on your screen one of the documents, namely the core document of the project that contains administrative provisions, but also technical provisions. It's a document in Dutch, but the result of the assistance that we can get from the AI Tender Assistant can also be in English, although the document is in Dutch, in French, or another language. And at our client, there is a dedicated staff member that is responsible for reading the documents and drafting a sort of overview, a sort of summary with the different requirements that have to be met to even be eligible to enter into the competition. So the exclusion grounds, selection criteria, and so on. And the staff member also has to be very careful to include all the different formalities that are being put into place by the contracting authority, but that also can be mandatory because of the fact that they are derived from legislation, of course. And so prior to using Publican, this staff member would read the documents, would scroll through the documents like I'm doing right now. So scroll, scroll, scroll. And this staff member prior to Publican would stop scrolling add article 2.1.8 with the title documents to be included into the bid. And why would this person stop? Because here the contracting authority already made a nice list of the different documents that the contractor has to collect and enter with its bid. This has to be done very carefully because there's a severe sanction if one document is not there, then the whole bid will be declared null and void. This is stipulated here in the bold sentence. So prior to Publican, the scrolling would stop here. But that's not good. Why is that not good? Because much further in the document, in the technical provisions, so now we were in the administrative provisions, but in the technical provisions, on page 61, it is stipulated in this article, article 1.2 of the technical provisions, that the contractor also has to submit with its bid certification of at least 2 excavation machine operators. So prior to Publican, this would have been missed, this important requirement. But thankfully, while preparing their bid, our clients uploaded this document together with other documents of the dossier into the Publican AI Tender Assistant. And I did the same. So I created a dossier. Here it is, repair of leaks, and the contracting authority is the Watergroep. And you can also see the submission date here. And when I click on this arrow next to the name of the project, a drop-down menu appears with different actions that you can invoke to get assistance with regard to the documents, and specifically to assist with the drafting of a matrix regarding the selection criteria, the different kind of formalities, documentation requirements, and so forth. There is a button here called conformity matrix. And when you click on it, an Excel file opens, an Excel file AI generated, that looks like this. And first of all, on the top of this Excel file, the AI assistant identified the different parties that have to be involved in this tender. Here it is quite simple, but for instance, in a design and build project, the AI will identify that there's also an architect that has to be involved. Maybe there are different specialities that the contracting authority requires. Then the AI assistant will indicate it here on top of the screen. On the left side of this page, the AI assistant lists the different requirement formalities and so on in a summarized and thematic way, so that you can have a clear overview, even though the different requirements are maybe scattered in one or more documents. Here it is centralized and very thematic. And then you have a column B here, modalities, and they give extra context with regard to the requirements. You can also see the source of the different information. So you can see the page numbers. Sometimes if the information is gathered from another document, a specific document. Also, this source document is indicated. And then the AI system maps or matches the different requirements with the parties involved via these little stars. And that way you have a clear checklist so that you can base your offer on this checklist and to make sure that you don't miss anything. And if we go back to our story regarding the requirement that was a little bit hidden in the documents regarding the certificate for the two excavation machine operators, then we'll see here on or in line 22 that the AI assistant effectively detected this requirement, although it was put in the technical provisions and not in Article 2.1.8 that we've seen in the beginning. And our client based its bid on the checklist that you're seeing right now. And of the 5 bidders, it was the only bidder that included the certificates for the 2 excavation machine operators in its bid. And the Water Group excluded the 4 other companies. So our client won this project, although she didn't have the lowest price, but it was the only company that actually did everything correct. And of course, you can argument that it is super severe of that contracting authority to exclude the 4 other bidders. Maybe this contracting authority could have asked to submit the certificates later on, or maybe you could argue that it's the own fault of the contracting authority that 4 bidders didn't see this requirement because the contracting authority itself was not diligent in drafting the tender documents. It should have put this requirement in Article 2.1.8, but it didn't. And maybe these arguments are valid, but it's still a discussion. And when you can avoid discussions with a client or potential client, it's always better. And for our client in this case, because they didn't make a mistake and they won the tender, there was an immediate return on investment regarding this AI tool from Publican. I want to add that the information that you see here, of course, primarily is based on the tender documents that have been uploaded, but the AI assistant of Publican also takes into account the applicable legislation, because there are some requirements that are derived from the legislation, although they are not explicitly stipulated in the tender documents. And then you need personnel that knows this by heart, that is educated, but yeah, not always. These people are not always around, of course, and sometimes new personnel has a learning curve, and they're not aware of these requirements that are coming from the legislation, and that's when accidents happen. And so, to avoid these accidents, the AI assistant of Publican has knowledge of these legislative requirements and also indicates them if applicable and if necessary. So this is not only a means to speed up work, but it's also a quality boost. It's actually a second pair of eyes, digital eyes, that watch over the conformity of the bid. So this was the first example of added value. Now we will go to the second example, which is the possibility to get a risk and opportunity report from the Publican AI tender assistant. And for this, I will use another tender project, another real tender project, which is the construction of a switch building for a hospital in Bruges. So these documents were also drafted in Dutch, but as we will see, we will get the analysis in English. To get our analysis with a focus on risks, opportunities, inconsistencies, contradictions, we turn to the button in-depth analysis. And it is possible to look at the analysis in the tool itself, but it's also possible to download the analysis into an Excel report. When looking at the analysis in the tool, we get an AI-based checklist that is derived in two parts to make it structured. First of all, we have topics in the pre-contractual phase, so topics related to the award of the project. And in these topics, there is important information that the AI has identified. But we also want, of course, our risk opportunities regarding the execution phase. And these topics, this information can be found in the contractual phase. And examples of topics here are everything related to liabilities. We have soil risks, contamination risks. We have information that has to do with incidents. So what are the rights and responsibilities when something happens on site? There are planning items, permit related questions, sanctions, information that has to do with subcontracting in coordination, variations, of course. The financial aspects of the project are being looked at, and the provisions around that. Supervision and control up to the end of the project, everything that has to do with the delivery of the project. And you can, as a user, click on a topic that you're interested in, and then you will see what the AI has found. And in this case, the topic that was of importance for a client of ours that entered into this competition was the topic prescribed materials. So when I click on this topic, apparently the AI has some warnings to present, has found discrepancies, and also opportunities. And in this case, it was primarily the warning that was very important. So when I click on this icon, we can see the explanation of the AI tender assistant. And there is some text in orange and then text in black. And in the text in black, it says that the AI tender assistant looked at the documentation and filtered or like scrutinized these documents with regard to brands, explicit brand references, but also implicit brand references, because of course it is possible that the specifications of a sort of material or a sort of product are being described without the reference to the brand itself. But when you read the description, you cannot conclude otherwise than that this product has to come from company X. And it's a challenge to detect these things very quickly, but that's what the AI public tender assistant of Publican does, namely detecting these references, um, elaborating on the references, giving the source of the different references, but not only detecting these things, the AI assistant also goes further and gives an interpretation. And this interpretation we can read in the orange text. And it says here that the AI assistant has seen that this is a public project, and in such projects, it is actually prohibited to reference to brands, unless there is explicit wording that you can submit something equivalent. So the wording or equivalent has to be literally included next to the references. But, says the tender assistant, I don't see this phrasing or this wording, so that's a problem. Unless, says the tender assistant, you as a bidder have easy access, of course, to these brands. Then there's no problem. Actually, on the contrary, then it's an advantage for you. But if you don't have easy access, then it is advisable, says the AI tender assistant, to raise this issue in writing with the contracting authority as soon as possible. And it suggests an email that can be copy pasted. So here, between quotation, there is a suggestion of our AI tender assistant that is very diplomatic in wording, that also includes the correct legal basis. And what was the advantage for our client? That is that now she didn't start calculating, estimating right away on the project, to see later on that actually there is a sort of material that she can't provide because she doesn't have access to this kind of brand. No, from the get-go, she knew that there was a problem, and thanks to the suggestion of the AI tender assistant, she knew how to act on it. She sent this email to the contracting authority as indicated or suggested by the public tender assistant, and the hospital in Bruges amended the tender documents, and it was therefore possible for our client to enter into the competition. To be complete, to be clear about also the coloring, I want to add that this is not random. The color orange indicates that it is a medium risk according to the AI tender assistant. There are also other colors. So for instance, if we click on liability, here we can see red coloring. So these things are of high risk according to the tender assistant. Sometimes there's something indicated in bold black, that's no risk. And there are also green warnings, and that because these are low risk according to the tender assistant. Of course, these are suggestions. It's a sort of risk profiling that you get from the AI tender assistant. But you can deviate, of course, as a company from this risk profiling. But it gives you like a flavor of the risk level of this project. when a user reads these warnings and is still a little bit confused about how to interpret things or how to act on things, it is possible to click here on the button assistance, and then the user will get a sort of first line advice, which is very useful in minimizing the margin of error, in also maybe minimizing the need to outsource questions. There's also a button here, what does the law say? And then you have actually a link to the relevant legislation regarding that item. So next to the fact that you can read or consult the analysis in the tool, it's also possible to download the analysis in an Excel report. And as you see, this is done very swiftly. So the risk report or the analysis looks like this. It's a report with four parts. The first part contains the risk analysis. So you get a risk matrix with the coloring, so the coloring, I mean the risk levels, the risk itself, and the consequence of the risks. Then there is a section that has to do with derogations of the legislation, but also derogation of standard practices. So, for instance, in construction, it could be derogations of frequent or like standard building practices. Then there's a section regarding inconsistencies and discrepancies within a document, but also over, like not only within one document, but cross reference. And then there is a final section where the AI assistant tries to indicate or suggest opportunities in the project. There's always also a short reasoning about why something would be an opportunity. And this, of course, gives you extra ammunition, extra inspiration to improve your bid and improve your winning chances. So this was the second example of added value that the AI tender assistant can bring. It's a way to boost risk management in your company. It's a way to automate different kind of checks that are now maybe are done manually or are done in the heads of people, but that aren't being registered in a digital way, because it takes up a lot of time, and time, there is no time in these projects. With this automated analysis, you can save a lot of time and also boost the quality of your bid, so that you increase your winning chances, but also to cut back on problems during the execution phase, because you had more insight into the potential problems, so you could act on it quicker. As a third and last example, I would like to show you that you can also interact with the documents. So for up till now, we've seen like analysis that the AI assistant does automatically without prompting on your part, without the need to train anything on your part. That's all been taken care of. by Publican and its team of experts, domain experts, and AI experts. But there's still the possibility above all these things to go into dialogue with your documents via the search section. And you can search information in two ways. You can, first of all, indicate in what kind of documents the search has to be done. So you can click on multiple documents, or you can choose to search in everything. So here, select all, and then we perform the search in everything. And search, like I said, it can be done in two ways. First of all, a search via one or more keywords. So it's like, performing a Control F search, but then in all the documents at once. But you can also ask your questions in full sentences to the documents. So via the Q&A functionality, I will type here an example question. Provide an overview of the fire resistance requirements. Enter. And the first time that you ask a question to the documents, it will take a little bit longer for the AI system to answer, but as you can see, it doesn't take that much time. And the second, third time, and so on, that you ask a question, it will even appear quicker, the answer. But first time, it still has to be it still has to heat up a little bit. So here beneath the answer section, we see the structured and synthesized answer that the AI assistant provided to my question regarding the fire resistant requirements. And if you're wondering what kind of sources the AI assistant used to formulate this answer, we can click on the citations. And if we click on the citations itself, so for instance, here there are two citations, we actually jump on the left side of the page to the document, the relevant document, but not only that, we jump to the relevant section in the document that the AI tender assistant used to formulate an answer. And as you can see, you actually see the document itself with its layout, so you're sure that no hallucinations are taking place, and you can actually scroll a little bit to see the broader context. And this way, you can retrieve information much quicker, which is very important for a lot of people, but especially, for instance, in the building sector, for estimators who are confronted with information that actually is supposed to be part of the same thing. I mean, like information that is thematically part of one whole, but is scattered throughout the documentation. And then an estimator has to puzzle and loses time. And when he or she can ask questions to the documents, it speeds up this information retrieval process greatly. So now I demonstrated 3 real-life examples of how the Publican AI tender assistant gives added value. And to wrap up, I want to emphasize that with Publican, you save time and resources by instantly screening tender documents for legal, technical, and compliance risks. You win more tenders, or you increase the chance of winning more tenders with the clear risk matrices, with the document checklists that strengthen your bid preparation, and you stay ahead of competitors by detecting inconsistencies, contradictions, and hidden biases in the tender documents.
Thanks for watching. If you want to try Publican yourself or you have questions, feel free to contact us via our website www.publican.be or me directly via my email address jan.de.lijn@publican.be.